Alright, shalom, shalom. As always, I'm going to start these videos by giving all glory, honor, and thanks to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son for this wisdom and knowledge. That is Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakah Kodash, as well as the salutations upon to the elders and apostles of GMS, Great Millstone, whom I've learned this truth under, and have been helping younger brothers such as myself understand this 144% doctrine of the Bible. This video being titled Micah 2 verse 2. Okay, and you see on the screen a thumbnail of comparing California versus Texas, because the last week or so, especially the last couple days, I spent time driving through the state, one of the beautiful states of Texas, okay, down in the southwest of the United States, Babylon the Great, okay, modern day Egypt. And it led me, because I was in Dallas last night, and Dallas is basically one of these cities that's like 40 cities evolved into one, just morphed into one. You see that as well in Los Angeles, Seattle, New York. These mega cities formed into one. Okay, these giant metropolitan areas. You got Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington area, one of the biggest areas in the country, and it's called urban sprawl, and we're going to get into that. But the article, just doing research on this urban sprawl, because Texas, the mega cities of Texas, you Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, which I've lived in 10 years ago, Austin, Texas, San Antonio, are known for its urban sprawl. It's massive suburban areas where you gonna need to have a car because everything's spread out. But anyways, getting to the point, it spoke on the similarities between Texas and California. So let's actually get to it. Okay. Oh, actually, I think I screenshotted it. So just to start, the two largest cities in Babylon the Great America are California, which is about 40 million people, and then Texas at 31 million people. Okay, and this article was speaking on this urban sprawl. It says, this is what inspired me through the Spirit to do this video. Texas and California, though they're about 1,000 miles apart and have radically different geographies, have surprisingly similar histories. And quick pause, you go through the histories of all these states, it's Esau unavoidably, his history telling on himself over and over. We know Esau being used so-called WHITEs, okay? Esau, Edom of the Bible, the devil that the Bible speaks on. Both used to be a part of Mexico, okay? In modern day Mexico, the so-called Mexicans, that's just a byword, would be one of the 12 tribes of Israel, being Issachar, okay? And we know Esau finessed the Israelites here in the Americas out of their land, okay, by way of bloodshed. Continuing, spending periods of time as independent republics before being annexed into the United States. But what really brings the two states together is that they were both built on resource-based economic booms. It was gold that first brought settlers into California in droves in the 1850s. And half century later, Texas began to take off with the discovery of black gold, the state's massive oil reserves. Okay, and that's where you get the San Francisco 49ers back in 1849. Okay, the gold rush of in California. Let me pull up a picture. In California, used to have all gold and silver, beautiful minerals in its waterways. As you see, Esau, it's taking the gold, removing it from the rivers. And what gold does is it's one of the most powerful metals there is, but it's also a cleansing agent, a purifying agent, a filter. So when Esau removed all the gold and these precious metals and minerals out of these waterways, it's not filtrating as it used to be. Because you picture what California looked like 500, 600, 700, 800 years ago before Esau's red ass came through. It was clear as day, crystal clear water that you could drink out of. And Lord willing, that's another video I do on now we just drinking water out of plastic. But back in the day, California would just have piles of gold built up in its waterways. As well as you go over to Texas, Esau discovered that there was oil all throughout in the land of Texas. And let's just get to the scriptures. Micah 2 verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And ain't that what Esau did to, going back to the tribe of Issachar, so-called Mexicans, the tribe of Gad, so-called Native American Indians, the tribe of Reuben, so-called Seminole Indians. Okay, that's what Esau then did. He comes through, and he did that to the whole earth. Comes through, pillages, takes the land out of their resources, and takes it by way of violence, which was his blessing, by the sword. Okay, let's get that in Genesis. But I found it very interesting that the two largest by far, and just driving through Texas, man, Texas is a monster. Texas is a force. Okay, driving through these mega cities in Texas, it sparked me through the spirit reading that the two biggest states in Babylon the Great, America, Texas and California, which could be by population their own countries, were sparked by a boom in natural resources stolen by Esau Edom. And real quick, I drove from Laredo, Texas, on the border of Mexico up to Dallas, and you drive through Waco. You got this beautiful University of Baylor football stadium, and all these cities built up. Austin got this new tall skyscraper they building, and you just see all these cities. But let's never forget, this right here is one of the famous or infamous lynchings in Waco, Texas, less than 100 years ago, down there in Waco. Okay, so this land was built off the blood of the Israelites. Here they go lynching a so-called black man, a Judite. Okay, and Esau's sitting there with his look of pride. These prideful devils, they done built their empire, never forget, off bloodshed of the Israelites. So continuing, this was his blessing. The Lord said that he would get the goodies of the land, but he wouldn't get it righteously. He would get it by way of wickedness, by way that this devil knows best, pulling out his sword. Okay, this is going to be Genesis, the 27th chapter, 38 through 40, speaking on the blessings given to Jacob and Esau. Okay, verse 38. And Lord willing, this be concise, to the point, and edifying to any Akim that happen to click on this video. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay? And so Esau's blessing was his sword, and getting all these lands by way of the sword. Okay, he would get the fatness of the earth, all the natural resources, but he would get it by way of bloodshed and violence, pillaging, being a pirate, being a raider, being a buccaneer, what you see, being a cowboy. Okay, stealing it by way of blood. Okay, but Jacob, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, we know, pursuant to Hebrews 13 verse 14, we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Okay, we are still Baruch 3 verse 8, yet this day in our captivity, mainly under this devil Esau Edom. Okay, but our blessing is the kingdom of heaven, an eternal kingdom of righteousness to come. Okay, but going to 2nd Ezra 6 verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, Jacob is the beginning that followeth. Okay, so let's keep the ball moving, speaking on how this man, the two biggest states we got here in Babylon the Great, America, were built off natural resource booms. California gold rush and the Texas oil boom. Okay, and it speaks on, these natural resources. This is how people live. But what Esau, being the devil that he is he takes the resources by way of blood, and then he controls it. And then we know that we got to go to the enemy for the want of all things. This is going to be Ecclesiasticus 39 verse 26 and 27. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are good to the godly. So to the sinners, they are turned into evil. And that's what we see. You got Napa Valley, the blood of the grape, where you all them wine up there. Oil, the oil boom down there in Texas. Clothing, you got all the sheep in the field that you can get clothing from, as well as down in the south, the cotton picking, and so on and so on. All these resources that are principal to a man's life come from the fruit of the land. But Esau takes the land, and then he oppresses the men on that land. Okay, and we see that with the Israelites today. We are still under those curses. And it speaks on how this man operates, again, in Ecclesiasticus, the 34th chapter, or book of Sirach. A couple chapters previous from 39, 34 verse 21 and 22. The bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood. He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him, and he that defraudeth the laborer of his hire is a bloodshedder. And that's how this man moves. He controls, takes all the land and all the resources by way of blood, and then he gives you crumbs while he's stuffing his face with everything. Okay, this man is, the scriptures speak on, nothing more wicked than a covetous man. Okay, and then you think you might own a house or some land or some property, but he hits your ass up with annual property taxes. Like, well, what the hell is that? It's to the point too where I could be gifted a nice house for a pass down. Okay, but if I can't afford to pay those annual property taxes, the bank is just going to take it. That's how this devil operates. It's complete wickedness. This is everything's a scam, a lie, a Ponzi scheme, where these devils, starting with Amalek, you wish people, and you satanic banking families and on down, control everything. But Thawadi Yahweh Shada, to bringing us to remembrance and waking us up to these prophecies that this man will soon fall. Okay, this is going to be Habakkuk 2 verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth the town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. And we gonna get another one speaking on. Let's go back to this lynching photo. This man done never forget, built his town off blood and wickedness and violence, and was proud about it. And then when we bring this up, he wanna play victim. Nah, it ain't going like that. There's a judgment that comes with that. Let's continue on that. And this is going to be the book of Numbers, the 35th chapter. Esau going to have to pay. And he can tell through the spirit that his kingdom's collapsing. Just, Texas is booming right now. But in that article, it said Texas has eerily similar similarities to California. And we see the collapse of these western cities from San Diego all the way up to Seattle in their liberal ways. Nothing but homelessness and drug addicts, and people can't afford to live up there. Okay, we know soon all of that's going to be all these states in Babylon. But staying on point, Numbers 35 verse 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by of him that shed it. Okay, so Esau, he's sitting back thinking he's living it up, in that Ja Rule, living it up, and thinking that there ain't gonna be no judgment for all the bloodshed and robberies he done committed throughout the earth. But as it speaks on in the book of Job, the 18th chapter and the 20th, he ain't gonna have in the kingdom to come no name in the street. As well as in the book of Obadiah, he's gonna surely pay. And he's gonna for sure pay. Thus said the Holy Scriptures, for all his robbery and bloodshed. Okay, and whatever you reap, that's what you sow. Let's get that, and we'll close out. This is gonna be a book of Galatians, the 6th chapter, verse 7. Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So we know, going back to Genesis, the 27th chapter, Esau sowed. He got all these lands in the fatness of the earth, and took it by way of blood. Going that Nas song, take it in blood. He took everything. He didn't took the whole earth and corrupted and polluted it by way of blood. But that what he reaped is also what he gonna sow in these last days. And pursuing the Lamentations, the 4th chapter, his punish in the NLT, it speaks, I believe, starting at verse 19 and 20. His in 21, his punishment is just beginning. Revelation 13 verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay, and we are seeking that day where our enemy, our chief enemy, Esau Edom, has to pay the price for all the oppression and misery and bloodshed he done placed upon our people. Okay, and leaving us in a state of poverty and oppression for centuries after centuries. We are seeking to be loosed from this captivity where we're the slaves, we're the construction workers, we're the security guards, we're the ones getting constantly hit up with unrighteous decrees, taxes, and child support, and never-ending bills, okay? And can't maintain our family household in order. We are truly seeking the day where this hell ends for our people, but begins with you heathen nations, firstly, who all played a part in our captivity, but first starting with Esau Edom. Close off on this. Luke 13 verse 30. And behold, there are last which shall be first, and there are first which shall be last. Yahweh Shai speaking. Yapa. Beautiful. So we know, thus said the Holy Scriptures, and we have faith and truly believe that the Lord is going to flip all this oppression that's been placed on us. And Esau, who then got fat by stealing and robbing all the goodies out of these lands, his punishment just going to begin. And it's his turn to go into captivity and into slavery. And our people going to kick back, okay? And forget the misery on this side, all right? But this is a video through the spirit that sparked me driving through the state of Texas, that the two most populous states in Babylon the Great America, California and Texas, were built off booms of natural resources. You had the gold rush in there in California, as well as you had the oil boom down there in Texas, okay, creating the two largest states you see today in America, 40 and 30 million plus residents. All right, but that's just a preview of what's Esau going for sure be working in our kingdom. All right, I hope this was edifying. Shalom.